Ayo woke before the sun, the faint hum of Lagos beginning to stir around him. He stretched, his limbs sore from the previous day of carrying baskets of vegetables. His mother's voice rang out from the kitchen, calling him to get ready. Together, they walked to their small stall at the bustling Ojuelegba market, a place teeming with life and stories. Ayo had grown accustomed to the rhythm of the market, the bartering, the colorful chaos, and the occasional laughter shared with familiar faces. That morning, as he arranged fresh tomatoes and peppers, he couldn't shake the feeling that something unusual was about to happen. The market was his world, a vibrant and noisy universe that had shaped him into a sharp, resourceful young man. Yet, he often wondered if there was more beyond the market stalls and dusty streets of Lagos. Little did he know that his world was about to collide with something, or someone, entirely different. Zainab adjusted her camera strap as she stepped out of her father's car, her polished shoes clicking against the uneven pavement of Ojuelegba Market. She was a stark contrast to the scene. Her pristine school uniform and tidy hair seemed almost out of place amidst the vibrant chaos. She had come here for a school project, tasked with understanding local economies. Her driver reluctantly trailed behind, carrying a notebook and a water bottle. As she wandered through the market, her eyes were drawn to the array of colorful produce and the animated gestures of the sellers. Zainab's curiosity burned brighter with every step. She stopped at a modest stall run by a boy about her age, diligently arranging vegetables. His nimble movements and warm, confident smile intrigued her. She stepped closer, unaware that this simple act would set the stage for a connection that would challenge their worlds. "Good morning," Zainab said, her voice cutting through the bustling noise. Ayo looked up, surprised to see someone like her at his stall. Her polished appearance contrasted sharply with the dusty, rugged market. "Good morning," he replied, his voice steady but curious. "Can I help you?" Zainab hesitated, then held up her notebook. "I'm doing a project about local markets and economies. Would you mind answering a few questions?" Ayo's brow furrowed. He wasn't used to being approached for such things. Still, her earnest expression made him nod. "Sure, ask away." She smiled, and for a moment, the noise of the market seemed to fade. As Zainab began her questions, Ayo answered cautiously, his initial wariness giving way to intrigue. Her genuine interest in his daily life surprised him. By the time she left, they had exchanged more than just answers. They had shared a glimpse into each other's worlds. Zainab couldn't stop thinking about the boy from the market. His sharp wit and grounded perspective intrigued her. Back at her luxurious home, she found herself comparing the simplicity of his world with her own life of privilege. For the first time, her research felt personal. Meanwhile, Ayo recounted the encounter to his mother as they prepared dinner. "She asked a lot of questions," he said, chopping vegetables. "But she wasn't like the others. She seemed different." His mother chuckled. "Maybe she'll come back. People like her rarely understand our struggles, but sometimes they mean well." And come back she did. Over the following days, Zainab visited Ayo's stall repeatedly, asking more questions and slowly earning his trust. Their conversations grew deeper, touching on dreams, family, and the stark differences in their lives. Each meeting blurred the lines of their worlds, sowing the seeds of a bond neither had anticipated. One busy afternoon, the market was especially chaotic. Ayo struggled to keep up with the swarm of customers. As he darted between his stall and the baskets, Zainab appeared, her presence a welcome surprise. "Need some help?" she asked. He hesitated but nodded. "If you don't mind getting your hands dirty," she laughed. "I think I can manage." Together, they worked side by side. Zainab's clumsy attempts at bartering amused Ayo, but her willingness to learn impressed him. By the end of the day, they were both exhausted, but shared a newfound camaraderie. For Ayo, it was the first time someone from outside the market had truly stepped into his world. For Zainab, it was a glimpse of life beyond her sheltered existence. The next morning, Zainab arrived at the market carrying a small package. "This is for you," she said, handing it to Ayo. He opened it to find a leather-bound notebook and a pen. "You mentioned you like to write down ideas," she explained. "I thought this might help." Ayo was touched. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "It's perfect." The gesture deepened their connection, symbolizing a bridge between their worlds. As Ayo flipped through the blank pages, he felt a surge of inspiration. For the first time, he considered the possibility of a future beyond the market, one where he could pursue his dreams. Zainab's visits became a routine, much to the curiosity of the market vendors. Whispers of the unlikely friendship spread, drawing amused glances and occasional questions. "Who is she?" a neighboring vendor asked Ayo one day. "A friend," he replied simply, but their growing bond didn't go unnoticed elsewhere. Zainab's family began to question her frequent absences and unconventional project. "You're spending a lot of time in that market," her father remarked one evening. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine," she said quickly. But she knew their worlds would eventually clash, and she wasn't sure how to bridge the gap. One afternoon, Zainab's mother discovered her project materials sprawled across her desk. The pictures of the market, detailed notes, and the unmistakable mention of Ayo sparked immediate concern. "Who is this boy?" her mother demanded. Zainab hesitated, trying to explain. "He's part of my research, Mama. He's helping me understand the market better." "Understand? Or are you getting too close?" Her mother's tone was sharp, her eyes full of warning. "You have responsibilities, Zainab. Remember who you are." The tension at home grew, but Zainab's resolve hardened. Meanwhile, Ayo's mother began to notice the time he spent daydreaming, his gaze often drifting toward the market entrance. She didn't question him, but she prayed silently that whatever was stirring in his heart wouldn't lead to disappointment. With Zainab's parents scrutinizing her every move, she and Ayo devised a plan to meet discreetly. Early mornings before the market opened, and late evenings became their moments to talk freely. These meetings were filled with laughter, shared dreams, and an unspoken understanding of the challenges ahead. Ayo shared his aspirations of furthering his education, while Zainab spoke of her desire to bridge the gap between different worlds. Together, they began to dream of possibilities that transcended their immediate realities. But each secret meeting carried a risk, a reminder that their connection was a fragile thread stretched between two vastly different lives. Ayo began to think seriously about his future. The notebook Zainab had given him was filling up with ideas, poems, and sketches of a life he wished to build. But he knew that pursuing these dreams would require sacrifices. One evening, he approached his mother. "Mama, I want to go back to school," he said, his voice steady but filled with determination. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting both pride and worry. "It won't be easy," she said, "but if this is what you want, We will find a way to make it work." Her voice carried both support and caution. "You'll need to balance work at the market and your studies. We can't afford to lose the stall's income." Ayo nodded. "I'll make it work, Mama. I promise." The next morning, Ayo began asking around for information on local schools that offered evening classes. With Zainab's encouragement, he found one within walking distance of the market. Enrollment was a modest fee, but even that required careful planning. Zainab discreetly offered to help with the costs, but Ayo refused. "I want to do this on my own," he insisted. Zainab respected his determination, though she found ways to support him indirectly, like lending him her textbooks and explaining difficult concepts. Their bond deepened as they navigated these new challenges together. Ayo's days became a blur of market duties and classes. Exhaustion often loomed, but his dreams kept him motivated. His mother marveled at his resilience, though she worried about the strain. Meanwhile, Zainab faced her own battles. Her parents grew increasingly suspicious of her market visits. One evening, her father confronted her. "You've been spending far too much time there, Zainab. Is this about your project or something else?" She hesitated before answering. "It started as a project, Baba, but it's more now. I've learned so much from Ayo and the market. It's opened my eyes to realities I never considered." Her father's face hardened. "That boy is not your equal, Zainab. You have a future that doesn't involve him. Don't let this distract you." The words stung, but Zainab refused to let them dictate her choices. Weeks turned into months, and Ayo excelled in his studies. His teachers were impressed by his dedication, and he began to dream of pursuing higher education. Zainab's encouragement remained a constant source of strength, even as their worlds continued to clash. One evening, Ayo presented Zainab with a gift, a poem he had written about their journey. "It's not much," he said shyly, "but it's how I feel." She read it, tears brimming in her eyes. "It's beautiful, Ayo. Thank you." The moment solidified their connection, but they both knew the road ahead would not be easy. Rumors about their friendship spread further, reaching Zainab's extended family. Her mother received a call from a concerned relative, urging her to intervene. That night, Zainab was forbidden from visiting the market again. "This ends now," her mother declared. Heartbroken but defiant, Zainab found a way to send a message to Ayo through a mutual acquaintance. "I'll find a way," the note read. Ayo read her words with a mix of determination and sorrow. He knew they couldn't continue like this indefinitely. As much as he cherished their bond, he wanted Zainab to thrive in her world, just as he hoped to succeed in his own. Their next meeting was bittersweet. "Maybe we need to focus on our paths for now," Ayo said, his voice heavy. "But this doesn't mean goodbye." Zainab nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Promise me we'll meet again, Ayo, when we're ready." "I promise," he said, clasping her hands tightly. Years passed, and Ayo's hard work paid off. He earned a scholarship to a prestigious university, becoming a symbol of hope for his community. Zainab, too, pursued her dreams, studying economics and advocating for policies that supported local markets. One fateful day, their paths crossed again at a community event promoting grassroots businesses. Ayo, now a keynote speaker, shared his journey of resilience. As he stepped off the stage, he saw her in the crowd, smiling proudly. Their reunion was filled with laughter and stories of how they had grown. They were no longer the boy from the market and the girl from privilege, but two individuals who had overcome obstacles to build meaningful lives. In that moment, they knew their connection had endured. Together, they vowed to continue bridging worlds, proving that love and understanding could transcend any divide.